subscription model is concerned. But here is the problem. Till now, the Twitter verification system was very different. The earlier verification system handed out the blue tick mark to notable users by its own criteria, with users being able to apply for the verified badge across multiple categories for both individuals as well as organizations, essentially becoming critical when it comes to differentiating between genuine as well as parody accounts. So this new move by Elon Musk, will it be a game changer in terms of parity, or will it result in competition cashing in?
It's official. A verified badge on your Twitter ID, better known as the blue tick, will now cost $8 a month. Twitter's new boss, Elon Musk, spelt it out in a tweet on Tuesday, hitting out at what he called the current lords and peasants system and dubbing the $8 a month charge power to the people. He also had a message for critics: please continue complaining. Responding to feedback, Musk said prices will be adjusted as per a country's purchasing power parity. People with blue ticks will have multiple benefits, which include priority in replies, mentions and search, which is essential to defeat spam and scam, the ability to post long video and audio, and half as many ads. The buzz around a fee for the blue tick has sparked intense debate. Many say it's not worth paying for and questions the idea of a reliable tweet. Others argue there's nothing wrong in charging for it as a revenue earner for the company. The price tag had drawn a response from none other than best-selling author Stephen King, expressing disappointment. Mr. King lashed out in a tweet, saying Twitter should pay him, and saying he'd be gone like Enron. The Enron mention obviously refers to the epic fall of the major US corporation after years of rapid growth. Musk did respond to King, saying Twitter can't rely on advertisers, even asking if $8 would be right. He also termed it the only way to defeat the bots and trolls. The decision is made. Want a blue tick on your Twitter ID? Pay $8 a month. But the debate continues. Why a fee for a blue tick is justified versus the concerns raised, and how it may actually end up harming Twitter as we know it.
So first, let's really do a for and against as to why Elon Musk wants to go forward as far as the subscription model is concerned. Let's break down the details in terms of what are the arguments that have been made and why he feels this will actually be benefit as far as Twitter is concerned. Why is it okay? A legal business revenue model. As I said when I started the show, Elon Musk is very clear. Twitter needs to make money and all of it is not going to come from ads alone. But why is it problematic? It dilutes the qualification for a verification badge. As I said, when the verification process had initially started, not many users had even had to approach Twitter. It was actually handed out to them because of the kind of engagement that they were seeing or posts that were put out, and later you could apply for a verification with various reference links. What happens to all of that now? Second, prevents identity theft and cloning. That's the argument that is being made by Musk's team. But why is it problematic? It opens gates to exodus to other platforms like Coup and others, while many users are saying that if we're going to have the same kind of engagement, we'll just move to another platform. The other big reason is, and this is the argument that is being made by Elon Musk, it filters out bots as well as trolls. This is something that he had said in his initial days of this takeover as well. But why is it problematic? It weakens the credibility of the tweets from verified IDs, because today anybody who has that kind of money can just buy a verified badge. Let's break down some other details as well. As I said, Elon Musk has said that I want to make money, I want to make Twitter profitable, and all of it is not going to come from ads. Currently, how is Twitter making money? Let's just quickly break down those details as well. As far as advertising services are concerned, that is about 89%, that's $4.5 billion, and the rest 11% is of data licensing and others, which is $571.8 million. But with the kind of exodus that we're already seeing as far as Twitter is concerned, the larger question that we're asking this evening is, will the verification gamble pay or not? Let me also now introduce our guest to take this conversation forward. We have Joyjeet Pal, Associate Professor at the University of Michigan. We'll shortly be joined by cybersecurity expert Jiten Jain. We have the General Counsel and Head of Policy at Coup, Rajneesh Jaswal. And we also have columnist and author Sohail Seth. Good to have all of you on the broadcast with us. So, I'd like to begin the conversation with you. While many of, the Gen Z or the millennials are saying, so what's the problem if you're being asked to pay as far as the verification batch is concerned? But this becomes problematic to a lot of users who've been on this platform for a very long time. Because initially, when this entire verification process started, you didn't even have to approach the social media platform. It was actually handed out to many users. For somebody like you who's been on the platform for so long, is it problematic on so many levels?
Well, I don't know about Gen Z and millennials if they read or know who Groucho Marx was, but he famously said, I don't want to be a member of any club that will have me. You don't provide platforms on the strength of money alone. If Elon Musk had said it's $8 plus other criteria, I would have had no issue. The moment you make it money-centric and fee-centric and fee-driven, the problem I have is that the democratic equanimity that you bring to the platform may not necessarily improve its content. See, the point is, Ridhima, I didn't ask for a blue tick. I have 4.6 million followers on Twitter. Okay, so I tweet with responsibility and accountability. Most of my tweets are for blood, where people need blood and people need emergency help, blah, blah, blah. Now, I don't know, because of the parallel anonymity that exists on the platform today, if this $8 thing is going to help. Elon Musk is a smart businessman, but obviously not smart enough, because he should realize that there are other revenue exacting avenues that he could have employed. So to say that if you pay $8, you'll get your blue tick, to my mind, then it has nothing to do with content. It has everything to do with commerce. Then what is so differentiating about Twitter as a platform which talks about great content, it talks about sifting, separating the wheat from the chaff? Then you become a platform that anyone can get onto just by paying. And payment alone cannot be the criteria where content is concerned. Right. You pay peanuts, you get monkeys, and the amount is not large enough. In fact, I said it on one of your channel's programs earlier. I said, if you really wanted to create a differentiation, then you would have had 1,000 or 10,000 influencers, depending on the population of users of that country on Twitter, who you would invite with a blue tick.
Sohail, what I'm trying to understand is, I've been speaking... True. Sohail,
I've been speaking... you charge $1,000 to $2,000 per annum. Because then, and I'm not being, a classist here, but then the people who come here just for the fun of it and for abuse and for trolling would slowly be sifted out as far as the blue tick is concerned.
So, what I'm trying to essentially understand is, I've been speaking to a lot of users who've been on the platform since its initial days. Now, this is what they've said, that how did the community actually begin building? People you knew in real life, you started following them or they started following you, and slowly you started either putting out content or you started retweeting stuff, and you built a community around that, and then the verification process happened. Today, when you've already reached that stage, as you said, you have millions of followers today, will you be okay letting go of that verification badge?
Absolutely, it does nothing. And it'll do even less if it's a badge that comes for a price. I mean, I don't want to be equated on a level where price is the only denominator. See, I don't know if you've been a great student of mathematics, I assume you have. There are two choices, the lowest common denominator and the highest common factor. The highest common factor is a great separation and allows for great content to continue to be placed on the platform. Now, there's also Coup, which doesn't charge. It gives you the blue tick or the yellow tick and a green tick or however many colors. The point I'm making, Ridhima, is I'm not at all being classist. It is not about money. It is about using money as the only badge of discrimination. As far as the blue tick is concerned, I'd be happy to give up my blue tick. It does nothing for me. As far as identity theft is concerned, I'm already on the platform. Sure. That is for Elon Musk and his Trojan horses to figure out how they will protect me from abuse or disabuse of my identity.
Okay. But I like the assumption that you made that I was a good math student, but me and maths were two poles apart. But keeping that aside, Joyjeet, I want to bring you in the conversation as well. Where do you stand as far as paying for this verification is concerned? Now, many were supporting Elon Musk as saying, Twitter Blue is a subscription service that already exists. India doesn't have it. That doesn't mean that other parts of the country don't have it. All the other platforms have a subscription service. You pay a nominal fee for it. What's the harm?
Yeah, so I don't think that this is going to make much of a dent if you were to imagine just the subscription value. So you're looking at what, like 500,000 verified users on Twitter, thereabouts. I could be off by a bit, and your revenues are somewhere between 5 to 6 billion. So even if by some remarkable magical possibility you were able to get all 500,000 to pay $8, then you're looking at 4 million value from subscription alone, which is not going to make a huge difference.
It actually
and the
won't
fact
even
is
be
that
$8
these
because if you read the fine print of the statement that was put out by Elon Musk, it'll actually vary from country to country. So it'll possibly be much lesser for India. So for that nominal amount, is it worth taking that risk is the question.
Right. So it's going to be a few $1 million a month at the best. And that is with, like the other speaker said, the dilution of the value of, it's like you're the sucker who pays $8 a month for something that costs more than, say, Netflix costs per month. And it just seems like I wouldn't say that the value behind why Twitter went after the blue tick was a lawsuit in 2009 where people were concerned about identity theft. So it was that which drew blue tick, where blue tick actually serves Twitter rather than you. So it actually, you can't just say that, okay, if you take away the blue tick, then what happens? Is it just the blue tick goes away? Well, it's not like you're saying the blue tick goes away and I sell your account to somebody else. So now some Andu Pandu says that they are Amitabh Bachchan.
That's a very valid point that you're making. It's the user community that actually makes up the platform. So even if the badge is taken, the users are not losing much, and they actually have the option to move to alternate platforms like Ku. And this is where I want to bring Rajneesh in the conversation as well. Rajneesh, very interesting times. I want to first just begin by understanding, just in the last couple of days, have you seen a great increase as far as users wanting to shift to Ku?
So Ku has been on a growth path for the last several months now, not for the last several days. And that lies in our unique USP of regional language microblogging. Microblogging is picking up in India, and a bunch of folks from regional languages are joining our platform organically. It has nothing to do with whether Twitter does well or has a pink tick or a blue tick, none of that sort. So Ku has been attracting folks. We are almost at 50 million downloads now. More than 5 crore Indians are looking at us, are on our platform and enjoying an inclusive platform.
Okay, so let me rephrase the question then. The argument across social media platforms is exactly the same, that we need to be profitable, we need to make money. So will we see Ku also maybe in the future wanting to go the same route?
So I think the situation in India is different. That's number one. In India, getting your identity verified is a matter of legal right under the intermediary guidelines. And Ku does that free of cost. The other part on whether you are an eminent personality and whether you should be shown to other folks is a part of the system. It is part of the inclusiveness that Ku brings. And that also will never be charged. There are other avenues of monetizing. As someone said, even in the case of Twitter, the amount of money is not huge. Ku, to my sense, will never go down the path of monetizing on identity verification with the green tick or with eminent verification with the yellow tick. It's unlikely to be charged. There are other avenues of monetization which we will pursue.
Okay. Jitin, I want to bring you in the conversation. The only aspect of where it becomes extremely problematic for me is the entire process of filtering out what needs to be sent out and what doesn't need to be sent out. If anybody and everybody can really buy a verification badge, one, that entire value is negated. Two, the most problematic aspect of all of this is how do you moderate the kind of content that will be sent out then? Because today you could hold these users who had verified badges accountable if any sort of misinformation or fake news was peddled. But what happens from here on?
Well, of course, you're right. And I think yesterday also on your channel in the debate, we pointed out that what if Narendra Modi refuses to pay $8 or $20? Is Elon Musk going to de-verify him? And if 20 jokers was to make accounts of Narendra Modi and start tweeting out about policies, destabilizing markets, spreading rumors, or maybe declaring a war on Pakistan or China, what will happen? So I think it's easier said than done. But there are two aspects here, and let us be very clear. I am a great supporter of any social media company commercializing their services. And in my opinion, I think we have long become a society of freeloaders. We want everything for free, but we must understand there are no free lunches in life. If you don't pay, you will continue to be the subject and victim of this data colonization campaigns of this big tech, where companies like Facebook, who offer you WhatsApp, Instagram for free, will turn you into phone addicts, will sell your data for election manipulation, will sell your data to third parties. All sort of things will happen. So if you want to get rid of that, if you want to see less ads, more services, it's better to pay some money. So if Elon wants to charge some money for additional services, I'm happy to pay that money, but not for verification, not for any honorable tag or gratification of my status or intellect in society. Absolutely no. In my opinion, those who use Twitter for commercial gains or political gains must pay not $8, but maybe $8,000. Especially the political parties which turn Twitter into a hate house and hate mongering machine. The corporates who use Twitter day and night for customer care, for brand advertisements and all those things, they must pay maybe $800,000. But ordinary individuals, journalists, activists, columnists, I mean, who bring value on Twitter, who help Twitter differentiate from facts from fiction,
True.
who help kill misinformation with authentic news.
True.
I think they cannot be asked to pay. For example, in your channel, I think it is the duty of Twitter to verify top editors, journalists with free verification tax. But yes, of course, if your channel want to verify all 2,000 people working for the channel, they must pay. So I think there has to be differentiation. Those who are making money from Twitter must pay, and those who Twitter is using to make money Twitter must not
But
charge them.
till now, we actually haven't seen that segregation. So I'm not sure if that segregation will actually come through, because the idea, as far as Elon Musk is concerned, that we need to have a sense of parity. So I'm not sure if that segregation is coming in.
I think in that case, even if 1 million people were to pay $8, it will be $80 million a year. And I think for those $80 million, he will put Twitter into that same sink which he bought into Twitter office.
Okay. Joyjeet, I want to talk to you about another important aspect. Why this is seeing a lot of criticism today is because Twitter is not used just to, build your own profile, so on and so forth. It is also an important tool as far as news gathering is concerned. Whether we want to believe it or not, news first breaks on Twitter and then elsewhere. What happens to that entire process, considering the fact today you will have verified users and verified handles putting God knows what?
Yeah, so in India, for instance, the single largest community, we track Twitter users and their online behavior who are tick-marked are journalists. And one of the reasons why Twitter has this, like I mentioned before, is for information integrity. Twitter has a higher proportion of users who use it for news than any other social media platform. So it's actually a trusted news source. There might be echo chambers and so on and so forth, but people are going there for news. So it actually has very significant risks in terms of they are deplatforming journalists, but delegitimizing journalists by taking away the tick mark and also taking away the ability to say, well, what is disinformation versus what is verifiable through a reasonable source. So what they will do with journalists and media is a very significant question in terms of this blue tick, because it's being peddled as something that is celebrity-centric, but really the value of blue tick is from media sources.
Rajneesh, I want to bring you in. I'm trying to understand, when Coup had just initially launched, many were extremely skeptical whether you'll see the kind of traction, because Twitter had already established itself and people enjoyed using, the interface, the algorithm, so on and so forth. With this kind of subscription model, how are you revamping what you currently already have at Coup? What are you ready to offer the users today?
So Coup has been undergoing a change ever since the time it started. And I think if you look at the product now, it is very different. And that's not a response to what is happening on Twitter. It's a natural evolution of the product, and it's become much, much better over time. We offer multiple features. I mean, microblogging in 10 Indian languages. Our edit button is free of cost. It is not chargeable. You can edit at any point in time. There is voluntary self-verification where you verify your identity. One of our very interesting features is multilingual Coup, the ability for a content creator to connect with folks in multiple languages at the same point in time. And that's a very, very interesting feature, which has got many people hooked on. We have more than, as I said earlier, 50 million downloads, and it is growing day by day, essentially because of these very, very innovative features that we brought onto the platform. We are more than delighted to welcome people on our platform to interact with each other in multiple languages at the same point in time.
Rajesh, I quickly also want to understand before I go back to Suhail, what are the kind of measures that you're taking to tackle bots and to tackle parody accounts and to tackle fake news? Rajneesh?
Sorry, I missed that question.
I was just essentially trying to understand, considering the fact this fake news now seems to be becoming a big issue, that what will happen going forward if everybody is verified. At Ku, what are these specific measures that you're taking to tackle bots as well as parody accounts and fake news?
So over time, we've built in several AI and ML measures on the platform where we're constantly looking at data streams and trying to figure out if there is misinformation or people acting in concert. And we've built that system in India, and it's a very indigenous system, and we are seeing great results coming out of it. I can fairly confidently say that the effect on bots on our platform is very, very minimal. We don't allow bots. We've got voluntary verification where somebody can identify themselves as a human and not a bot, and that helps a lot. Essentially, then on the other side, on eminent profiles of folks who have stuff to say, which people can connect with. And we have about 7,000 people on the platform, and there are very clear and transparent criteria on why somebody is an eminent person and why would a yellow tick be counted.
How do you filter out that process? What is your criteria? Because as I said, when I compared it to the initial verification process at Twitter, you had to send reference links, so on and so forth, to show that you have an affiliation with an organization. How do you do that at Ku?
So at Twitter, I think everybody's always struggled to find the exact page where this criteria is listed. At Ku, you will find this on our homepage. We've identified several categories, from government officers to journalists, sports persons. We've actually drilled it down and tried to bring objectivity when we grant verification, and the system has worked very beautifully for us. It's been up for almost a year now. The criteria is objective, it's not opaque, and I would invite you to visit our webpage, and you'll clearly find it mentioned there on who can get an eminence and who cannot.
Okay. Sohail, I want to now bring you in as far as the larger debate of whether this is a gamble that could possibly backfire for Elon Musk. And I'm not trying to make a snarky comment, but there is a general mindset that if I have gotten something free once, why would I want to pay for it again? I mean, if you look at the kind of initiative that even Netflix came up, that if you share your password with your friends, you'll possibly will have to pay for it. That's a lot of criticism. So do you now see a mass exodus at Twitter?
Not at all. I think the gamble won't backfire. There'll be enough people for whom verification is a badge of honor. Because please understand, in the social order of things, people are clamoring for blue ticks everywhere, blue, green, whatever the hell the color is. So I don't think there'll be less people asking for a verification. Today, people scream if they're not verified on Instagram. I don't know what it does to their social stature. Does it make them more welcome to dinners, or does it make them more intellectual than they really are? I really don't know. My point is very simple. There are three basic issues here. Joyjeet mentioned them, and I think the gentleman Rajneesh mentioned them as well, and the other gentleman. There are three simple issues. Number one, what is the objective of Elon Musk? Is it revenue? If it's revenue, $8 is not the answer. And $8 in this manner is certainly not the answer, because you're diluting the value and the reputation and the intrinsic respect of the platform. Because then the platform will be seen as commerce-driven rather than content-driven. So you will alter the DNA of the platform. The second is, what is your objective by giving verification to people on the strength of money? That means there is no other criteria. Now, I think Rajneesh said, on Ku, we have a certain criteria for eminence. So how do you define? These are things that Elon Musk does, like Trump did, on the back of just, free finger typing. Oh, let's do this. I mean, Stephen King says, I can't pay, I'll pay $8. Okay, $8 it is. This isn't a joke. You're playing around with a company that is supposed to, and as the other gentleman, I forget the name, blame it on old age, where he said that today you're using this platform for various reasons.
True.
You're using it for hate. You're using it to peddle fake news. You're using it to incite people, being insidious. How are you going to stop that? Tomorrow, if I have a verification, what accountability are you talking about? Imagine if you're from the ruling party and you say something, incendiary. Let's say you say something insidious. You think there's going to be any action against you? Not at all. So decide what the objectives are.
Yeah.
If revenue is the objective, this is not the answer.
Right.
If dilution of the platform's respect, stature, and DNA is the issue, then by all means go ahead. And look, let me tell you, it's not about free. I've always said India is the capital of freedom fighters. They fight for anything that's free. It's very difficult to give something free and then claw back.
Yeah.
Because then people feel slighted.
That's exactly what I said.
If
you've had something free once, I'm not sure how many would be okay wanting to pay for exactly that.
And why should they?
Unless it comes with the caveat that there's going to be a lot more.
I don't need Twitter to run my life or run my business. I don't think anyone on this panel needs to, neither do you. I'm there. I've been verified. I didn't ask for verification.
Yeah.
Tomorrow you say I have to pay for it. I'll say no. It's not the $8,
True.
as I keep repeating. It is the principle
Correct.
by way of which you're altering the very DNA of that platform.
Yeah. That's exactly why I started the show by saying that is it actually going to dilute the value, the verification badge, and the kind of initiatives that followed with that. But Jiten, I'm also, one second. Jiten, I'm also trying to understand is that when Elon Musk's, the world's richest man comes out and announces something like this, either way, everything that he does is extremely flamboyant, and many say not with a lot of research, and it's very spontaneous. I'm only essentially trying to understand, is it now opening a Pandora's box? Will we see other platforms also follow suit?
It's only opening a Pandora's box in India because we don't have very much else to do. It is insignificant. If you look at the Twitter users in this country, they don't make a minor dent as well. It's a simple echo chamber which resides in its own comfort.
So, I was asking Jiten.
So don't imagine that it's opening any kind of box, Pandora or otherwise.
Okay, Jiten.
The thing that you have to worry about is, as one gentleman said.
Okay, so I'll just request Jiten because I'm actually running out of time. But Jiten, do you think other platforms will follow suit as well?
I think it's going to be a problem because in India, as my fellow panelists rightly pointed out, you have a right of verification by law, by IT rules, and in nowhere it says it's going to be paid. So if Twitter starts charging money for verification, then suppose if a political party 1 month before election decides that I want to get 1 million blue ticks to spread misinformation, and I'm just going to pay $8 million just for 1 month till before the election, and then let's have a political street fight on Twitter, what will happen? I think it's going to open floodgates for verification on other platforms also, where in a country like India, where it is a legal right, which government of India till day has not pressed. So I think the Twitter has to be very, very careful. They have to, delink verification from eminence tag.
Okay.
If he wants to offer Twitter do with verification, let it be a black tick, orange tick, or I think, some umbrella, but don't turn Twitter into a sinkhole of where Twitter bird is bleeding red, because of disinformation. I think one has to be very, very careful because it's going to put Twitter with a lot of confrontation in many geographies and countries with sovereign leaders and especially government officials who will never pay.
I think that becomes actually the biggest concern point as far as the subscription model is concerned. Unfortunately, we're still awaiting details as far as how it will pan out in various countries. I'll have to leave the conversation there. Appreciate all our guests taking our time and joining us this evening. With that, it's a wrap from my side. Plain Speak is up next.
Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. At the time when we're doing this show, the air quality index in Delhi's Anand Vihar is over 300, representing hazardous air quality. The air quality index around Delhi's Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium is over 250, representing very unhealthy air, and the situation is no different in any part of the national capital region. One must be thinking or assuming that at a time when a national capital is choking, something must be being done at a war footing. But instead, there is utter apathy and lethargy in dealing with the problem of farm fires, which are contributing heavily to this situation. Punjab is by far the worst contributor to farm fires, an absolutely unhealthy, almost criminal, outdated and unlawful means to get rid of stubble and crop residue. Regardless of the fact that it is our farmers who are doing this, there can be no justification. But because it is farmers, there almost is. Punjab's Agricultural Minister Kuldeep Dhaliwal has added insult to injury by claiming that Punjab has nothing to do with the situation in the capital. Meanwhile, his officials in the state who went to douse certain farm fires were held hostage by farmers. Does this not in many ways tell you the complete story, the real story, that while we breathe poison, there is almost a carte blanche to some to do whatever they can, whatever they like? Is it not time to take strict action, and how many years do we have to wait to see that happen? Would you or I be spared if we did something so completely hazardous to our fellow citizens' lives? We will take that question to our guests in just a bit, but I just want to point out why we are talking about Punjab in particular. Because the farm fires are raging in Punjab. These are images courtesy NASA firms. You can see over the last 7 days, yesterday until today 5 p.m. almost all of the farm fires in India, in northern India, are concentrated in Punjab. We'll show you more numbers to show how Punjab is faring versus other states. But all of Punjab, virtually all of Punjab, if you look at satellite imagery, is covered in Punjab in farm fires. They may claim today, the government, that it's not their issue alone, but the images do show otherwise. It is primarily a Punjab issue. The Aam Aadmi Party today may say this is a national issue, but really it's not. It has always been most specific to Punjab. Satellite images make it clear, but let's also take a deeper look at how Haryana and Punjab are dealing with farm fires, for example, because these two states have been compared in the past. Now in Haryana, stubble burning is down by some estimates as much as 30% over last year. But in Punjab, farm fires are actually up 20% nearly since last year. So actually the problem is getting worse in Punjab. Haryana has planned some unique measures like announcing MSP on stubble so that they can curb farm fires, so that farmers don't have to burn it. Punjab government instead continues to blame Haryana and centre for what's happening in Punjab.